Worship Center, located at 4660 North University Drive. Welcome to a brighter future.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, new season. It is awesome to be here with you guys on this Thursday evening here, another episode of Yes with Yesse. It is always fun to be here. It's great. It was a long ride to get here. It was so much traffic and muggy and hot weather, but we are here. And it's pre-Friday, y'all. Pre-Friday, pre-weekend. Good evening there, everyone on 89.1. YouTube family, good evening. And of course, those of you here with me on Facebook, I'm so happy to have you guys with me at this moment. I see you, Brother Akil. I see you, Brother Philip. Denai, I appreciate you always letting me know that he will be joining me. Richard, good evening. Thank you so much for joining this evening with us. And I see my sister as well. I see you. Good evening, sister. So thanks, guys. Thank you for being here and joining me this evening. So, from Alabama, guys. Richard from Alabama. Awesome, Richard. Thank you so much for being here. Please like and share and invite so many others can join and learn about New Season Gospel FM, Yes with Yesse, and all of our other programmings that we have during the week. So I assure you we have something for everyone. So join us, and please like and share. So guys, you guys know I come and I talk about different subjects, and I talk disability world, and I talk so many other things. And so that's what I want to do with you guys tonight. I'm going to talk to you guys about something very important and very, very awesome, actually, to me. And this is just to show you guys how God just puts things together. You know, even when we feel things are falling apart. They're actually falling into place. So I really appreciate every experience, every lesson, every word of encouragement. I appreciate it all because that's what life is all about, right? Like we say, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so here I am. And what I want to share with you guys is I literally just recently had a conversation with someone I know in the community who is very actively involved in the disability world. He works with the Medicaid waiver, which we've spoken about before, and we're going to get into group homes, just a whole lot of stuff and knowledge. Basically, he has invited me to participate in a discussion of Medicaid waiver services, which is for individuals with disabilities. This discussion is going to be moderated by someone that actually is over anything related to disability in Tallahassee, which is really, really awesome. So it's going to be a virtual discussion. However, I'm going to have the opportunity to give my insight or my experience in the home and community-based program, which is provided by the Medicaid waiver services. And that is a program that I am in, and one that I am always talking about and advocating for and kind of against in different ways. But it's definitely a service that matters and that is much needed by countless numbers of individuals with different developmental disabilities in the community. So that's an amazing opportunity that's coming up. Another opportunity is in September. I'll be going, God willing, to Orlando to speak at the Florida Sand Conference and receive a training for advocates, which is always good to further the knowledge, to increase the knowledge as we continue to advocate for ourselves and for others, literally on a daily basis. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually found out a friend of mine is going today, so I'll be with her. I won't be by myself. And the best part of that trip is that in the international hotel where we're going to be staying at, more than likely, the M&M store is right downstairs in the lobby. I love M&Ms. So that's like going to be the highlight of my trip, is the M&M store. I love it. I love it. I love it. So a lot of exciting things coming up. So I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to talk to you guys about something that is literally marinating in the White House right now. It's already passed. Right now they're just really figuring things out to how it's going to work for us as the recipients of these services. And so what it's called is, it's actually in Congress, and it's called the Better Care, Better Jobs. Yes, always enjoy them. Better Care, Better Jobs Act. So that is something that is coming out now by President Biden's administration. And what it is, it's an investment in Medicaid home and community-based services, which is a fancy name for the Medicaid waiver services, right? So that's for individuals like myself and others with more severe disabilities that receive these services, and also work or don't work, or receive services where they have to have nurses, home health aides, therapists, behavior therapy or behavior analysis. So it's really based more on the workers on the other side giving the service, providing the service to us as individuals with disabilities, for those that receive it. So that's what it's all about. Also, people with disabilities and seniors, right? Because seniors fall into the category. And so the ultimate goal is to allow or to help us remain in our home and stay active in the community while living in the community. And so what happens is, a lot of people don't know, when an individual with a disability or even a senior becomes, severely disabled, or they all of a sudden are by themselves because they have no more family members, the state kind of just pushes you along and takes you into a facility. So you no longer have that ability to choose or to be, independent and included in the community. You're automatically just pushed into a nursing home or a group home setting as it pertains to individuals with developmental disabilities. in this case, like myself. So that's why this is like huge and major thing coming out and being talked about for the community as a whole. Good evening, Sister Laurel. Thank you for joining. Please share. Thank you. Thank you. And so that's what this is all about. And so the next thing is that it will provide benefits for workers. It will create jobs. And so when it says that it will create jobs and opportunity for employment, it's because, and I didn't know that because of this whole thing of the increase of minimum wage, and also the fact that, you know, with COVID and everything, the government has been giving out a lot of money basically for people that have been with no jobs. A lot of people are choosing not to work, stay home and receive this benefit. And meanwhile, the people with disabilities in group homes and adult day training centers are suffering because, one, they haven't been able to go in so long because of COVID. Now that things are kind of sort of getting, you know, a little back to normal in that sense, people want to go back. They need activity for their mental health, for their physical health, yet there's not enough workers to receive them and to do the activities with them when they arrive. And that, again, is because they're making more money not working versus working, which is insane. Totally insane to me. And so this will provide more benefits and create jobs and increase the pay, actually, for these workers. $12.7 billion, to be exact, is what's being allocated to the home and community-based funding as part of this American Rescue Plan. And so that's what it is. It's the American Rescue Plan, assigning $12.7 billion. And see, Richard there says, yes, very true. So Richard knows a little or a lot of about this subject. And so it's, you know, if you understand that it's definitely a tough pill to swallow. So what's the priority, right? We think about, okay, well, there's $12.7 billion assigned to home and community based, which is everyone to receive services in the community without the option of being in a nursing home or a group home facility. So what is the priority? And so the priority in this existing Better Care, Better Jobs Act is to increase wages and benefits for workers instead of the minimum, which is about $12 right now. If you're in this kind of work, it's $12 for nursing, for home care, for somebody to come help you clean. You know, that's the average, is $12. And so if you get $12 but you get more somewhere else, of course you're not going to want to do this job. And has been said that if you're in this kind of work, you're not necessarily in it for the money, right? But we have to live. So what do we do from there? And so 18% of workers live in poverty with few to no benefits, meaning no healthcare benefits, no other benefits, because there's so little funding attached to these services. And so therefore there's a high turnover because people don't want to or can't, because they have families to take care of, they have children, work in this line of work because they're not receiving enough incentive or pay to do so. And so who suffers? The people suffer. The people with the disabilities that want to stay in their home suffer. And unfortunately, in times like those, in situations like those, is when they end up going into some kind of other option, as they call it, into a nursing home. And so what we described was some of the issues that are happening as to why, you know, or some of the issues that are happening as it pertains to individuals and seniors with developmental disabilities in these situations with the home and community-based services or lack thereof. And now let's talk about what this latest happening in Congress will do, which again is the Better Care, Better Jobs Act in the community. So I'm going to list several things that in doing some research I found out that it's going to do in the betterment of the community or for the betterment of the people, which is great. But keep in mind everything I've, certain subjects I've talked about before is like great. These things are great, and this program is great for people that need it, for people that are advocating more on the higher pay or the job opportunities for the workers, and the nurses and all those individuals that need the job. So rightfully so, that's the word I was looking for. They are advocating rightfully so for themselves because they need the service, and the workers because the workers are ultimately the one that are going to help them. But where does that leave people like myself that perhaps, or not perhaps, that does not receive any of these services, has a lower budget of services because I don't receive any of those? I want to work. I own my own business. I'm developing. So what happens to somebody like myself once I surpass the income restriction, the income level, to be able to continue to receive these services that I don't necessarily use now, but I might need in the future, or if I have a surgery or whatever the case, I need medical coverage. So where does that leave people that are considered to be in the middle, like myself, right? So that's what I marinate on a lot. That's what I think about. And a lot of people around me that I work with, or some of my clients, a lot of my clients actually go through the same thing because we're in the middle somewhere. And so the Better Care, Better Jobs Act would actually enhance Medicaid funding for home and community-based services. So all the services that we've been talking about, there would be more funding to accommodate the pay or the financial restraint that currently exists on these providers. It would expand financial eligibility, federal and state, and expand support for caregivers. And so the way that they do this is by providing help to families in navigating the system as it pertains to the eligibility and the enrollment. And right now, that's like the hardest thing because there's so much to know. There's so much research, so much documentation that families don't understand it, especially if you're of Hispanic background, or maybe it's Creole or whatever other language you might speak. A lot of this information is not accessible in that language, making it that much harder to even attempt to qualify or enroll in these programs. So the problem is much, much deeper than is being talked about. And so also expanding behavior therapy service. Did you know that right now, so many individuals in this program only get 30 minutes of behavior therapy once a week? Behavior therapy for someone that has behavior issues once a week for 30 minutes. I have one young man that's like one of his primary services is behavior therapy, and he, gets in trouble all the time. They have a lot of patients with him in the group home, but he only gets 30 minutes of behavior therapy. And I'm one of those that talks to him all the time, and I'm like, listen, when you're getting ready to, have an outburst or whatever it is, call me. Call me, talk to me, let me know what's happening. Like, don't, try not to act on that because it's going to get you in more trouble than it really needs to. And that's the problem. When you're in that situation like him, you don't understand that. You don't get that. You don't get that it could turn into a legal issue, that you can get Baker acted. You don't have that opportunity to think in that manner, think fast, right? So he does. It's very interesting that he does call me and lets me know, and then we de-escalate the situation and he's okay again. But then it happens again because there's no behavior services intervention to minimize the risk of it happening again. So 30 minutes once a week definitely has to increase for all of our individuals in this situation. The other thing is improve coordination of services and allow working people with disabilities to access these services. I cannot express how important that is. Allow working people like myself, people that work and that have a disability, allow us to work and continue to access these services without penalty. without us running the risk of losing the benefit or minimizing the benefit, because we want to live a fulfilling independent lifestyle financially. And it's interesting, I literally just had this conversation yesterday with a state representative, and she's like, okay, what are the issues? Well, what is it that what is it that you want to tackle? What is it that you want to change? I'm like, well, I want to change the world, but, and this was one of the main issues that I brought up to her. So we started talking about it, and it was very interesting to hear her perspective, but also hear her say to me, okay, well, I'm going to ask you questions that I think the Senate would ask you. And so when you see it that way, you're like, wow, my perspective as a recipient of services, as a service provider, is so different than theirs, And so when you have that huge gap and huge difference of understanding, of experience, literally living in the moment of needing the services, do you really understand? Do they really understand? Like, do they really understand where I'm coming from? Do they really understand the restriction and the limitations that they're setting on me? Already having a disability, already having to go through all of these things, I'm being extra limited, to say it that way, extra limited on how much money I can make, on, worrying if I become financially independent and stable, what's going to happen. Where right now I'm at the point where I'm like, let go and let God. God will take care of whatever needs to happen, but I'm going to continue to work and do everything that I can to make sure that I continue to be successful in my business and provide services to all the individuals with disabilities out there that are in need, that are not receiving services because of that huge gap that currently exists in society. So if God gives me the opportunity to be that one to fill, or one of those to fill that gap, I'm going to do it because it's my passion. So I love it. Yes. Let go and let God, and take me back to the Senate, and I'll say it again. I'll say it again. That was an amazing experience. So I look forward to that. So yes, improving the coordination of the services. That's me. That's yours truly. I love doing that between the, state benefits, the parents, and the students or individuals with disabilities themselves. I think it's huge and so important that they have the right guidance and education on the subject. And so then also promote the recruitment and the retention with increased rates and direct care staff and family members that are also caregivers. Because family members, you can assign them to be your caregiver, and they get paid to provide a service to you. So that is a possibility. And so promoting the recruitment and the retention. The retention is what's tough, because you can recruit, but is it going to be a match, or is it going to not be a match where you have to recruit somebody else? I remember when my grandma first got sick, we had at least 3 or 4 home health aides before the one that we have now, and it was for a lot of reasons. So far so good with the one we have now, but someone in need of services like that should not have such a high turnover of service providers. Shouldn't be a thing. It's not necessary. Absolutely not. So the next thing is promote recruitment. Like I said, promote the recruitment and the retention with increased rates. So more money, more pay, right? More money, more pay, less turnover, more people that'll be interested in doing the job. Making sure additional federal dollars go towards growing and improving the program. So in other words, yes, the program is receiving funding, it's being budgeted, so many awesome things are happening, but what are we going to do as a whole to continue to improve the program so that it's ahead of the game? It's ahead of the game for any different barriers that might come along. One of my things was, as a person with a developmental disability who's capable of working, who has her own business, why can't I pay into or buy into this insurance to cover my health and my healthcare needs? I just had surgery. A couple months ago, and it was hospital expenses, surgery expenses, therapy expenses, and that was like a lot of money. So any insurance out there probably more than likely will not cover all the expenses that I had. And yet I still have to pay co-payments. So what's the point? In my mind, I'm like, so what's the point? Granted, it's not as much as if I had no insurance, but I still have limitations while still having to pay out-of-pocket expenses and not being able to progress, or feel like I can't progress and feel like I'm on the same boat over and over again. And that's the same story for so many out there in the situation. So the next and final thing that I can tell you, the next thing, is providing additional incentives to help build the program workforce for direct care staff. Help them to connect to the seniors or to the individuals that need the service, that are seeking the care. Coordination between state and direct care workers. So who's the middle person bringing it all together? Who's the middle person bringing it all together to ensure a successful transition as it pertains to the services, the service providers, the direct care staff, and the families? It's like me saying that I want to be the go-to person between the state of Florida Department of Education, the school system, the parents, and their children with disabilities. So that's what I want to do, but it's too much for one person. So what are we doing as a community to give more access, provide more opportunity to fill this need and this current gap that exists? Supporting quality and accountability is everything. Accountability is everything. I know people that have attempted or that have been working on becoming providers for a really long time, over a year, and nothing has happened yet because there's no response. There's slow response. There's just so many things going on, even before COVID. It's just a culture, right? So what are we doing to implement rules and regulations, to implement processes and procedures, to provide more accountability or ensure more accountability as it pertains to the state of Florida, any other state, and the service providers to individuals in this home and community-based program of services? And finally, facilitating state planning and improvement plan for public input. It is everything. It is so important to allow the community to provide public input because, again, the public or the individuals with disabilities as ourselves are the ones receiving the services. So we can tell you what's good, what's not, what we need, what we don't need, all of those things, right? That's what we're here for, and that's what we can do. So yes, thank you for those notes over there on Facebook. That's awesome. Thank you for joining. So that's what's going on right now in the Senate. So much fun, and I love it. Actually, I really appreciate that it's even being talked about, that I get the opportunity to share it with you guys, because sometimes you might be like, what are you talking about? And so this is, yes, it's for individuals in the developmental disability services, but it's also services that are included or that you can obtain through Aging Disability and Resource Center, ADRC, for individuals or in the elderly population. So if you or someone that is a service provider for the elderly population, it's very important that you kind of direct them to this live today. Once it gets posted, direct them to it so that they can kind of review it and know the laws that are coming and contact their local and state representatives and advocate, because your voice matters. Your voice matters. That's why I appreciate that this gentleman reached out to me to advocate on this subject matter as well and share my story. So it's awesome. It's a good thing when you can work with your community like that to bring change. And that's what we do. That's what we do. All right. So I hope that it was educational, informative. Please go ahead and like and share, because you never know who needs to hear it. You never know who it's going to help. You never know who needs the information and just doesn't know how to obtain it. I can tell you that much. And so it is very important to not keep it to ourselves and share it. Good evening, everybody out there. Good evening, Sister Brown, Sister Athea. Is it Athea? Athea Brown on YouTube. Good to have you. Good to have you. Thank you, Ms. Mina, for being there. And so, yes, guys, that is all I have for you guys this evening. As always, it is awesome to be here with you guys. Like and share it. I will definitely see you guys again next week for another episode of Yes with Yesse. And for now, I want to invite you guys to come on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, guys. Fun Friday with yours truly, Pastor Steve and Pastor Henry. Pastor Henry, the melanin. So yes, definitely join you then tomorrow at 8 a.m. As they bring a lot of awesome fun for you guys. Mr. Denai J says, how does it make you feel like Monday motivation on the Pastor Steve show every Monday? I love being there on Mondays, Denai J. It's a lot of fun. It's very motivating and inspiring. And more than anything, it's awesome to continue to interact with you guys as the listeners and know that you're there on the other side, observing what we have to offer and what the show offers to you guys being out there. So I absolutely love it. And of course, giving Pastor Steve grace is always fun as well. So definitely see you guys on Monday on the Pastor Steve show, God willing. And again, next week on another episode of Yes with Yesse. Have an amazing evening, everybody. And don't forget to join, again, Pastor Steve and Pastor Henry tomorrow, and then Miss Mina on Faith Matters on a Monday. So don't forget, there's so much going on. And if you missed any of that, just go on to newseasonfm.com for all of our scheduling. And please, guys, if you enjoy it, support your station. Support your favorite station. Ways to give are on the screen, as always. And until then, next week, bye for now, and have an amazing, amazing rest of your evening and week.
The time the storm and gives you strength to carry on. I love talking about my Lord. My praise could really go on and on. He'll be right there through and through. So to give him praise is all I can do. His strength is perfect when yours is hard. He's my all in all. That's my God. Talking about. Say that's my God. That's my God. Talking about. That's my God. You're talking about. That's my God. You're talking about. He's Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. My provider. My provider. He's Jehovah Shalom. Jehovah Shalom. My peace and quiet. My peace and quiet. He's Jehovah Sikkenu. Jehovah Sikkenu. Lord, I need you. Lord, I need you. He's Jehovah Rapha. Jehovah Rapha. Whoa, that's my God. You're talking about. That's my God. That's my God. You're talking about. That's my God. That's my God. You're talking about. That's my God. You're talking about. Hey, it's Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. My provider. My provider. It's Jehovah